you realize that there is some if and then there is some if series. There's an S behind the ifs. And with some if series, right, that's the some ifs, it's the same thing, but the only difference is that you can sum more than one criteria. Remember, in this case, we had just three arguments to the function, right? And you could only sum, like, for example, we had to sum like the total quantity carried, total quantity of cement carried, maybe per region or by truck or or by customer. You understand? But in this case, you might want to sum total quantity of cement carried by region, by driver, by customer, or by month or by year. You understand? So the criteria might be many. You get? So in this case, you will not just use some if, but you use some ifs. The S at the back stands for some if series. Okay? This is a very powerful tool in Excel, and as I said, it will help you do a lot of analysis on your data, treatment and all of that. So I'm going to do one example on the board, and you guys would also try your hands on, okay? But basically the structure will remain the same. The only thing is you're going to have more criteria range and more criteria ranges and more criteria. You understand? That way you can then add many other things. Now if you go below the report, below this one, let's just yeah, so if you come here now, you see by town, but you realize that you have now fuel, and then you have another criteria, which is the year. Please look up. You realize that on this report, you are going to have fuel, quantity sold, sales, and the rest, and then there is like 2021, 2020 right here. So this implies we're going to have two different criteria, right? We'll be having by town, by year. And if we go down to the next report, you are going to have by town, by year, by month. And you can keep adding the criteria depending on your structure and depending on the report that you want to achieve. Depending on the report that you are building. So you can keep adding and adding and adding, okay? So I'm going to do one, and we're going to see how that works. So let me start with just the one that has two criteria. Okay, now on the first place here, of course, this is where I want to do my calculation, right? This is the cell I want to do my calculation. So I'll take equals to sum. When you put sum, you just see sum if is going to appear here, right? And of course, I call up my arguments, function argument dialog box. Now, remember that the other one started with a range. Have you seen? But this one is starting with a sum range. You understand? That's a small difference. Because there are now going to be so many criteria ranges, as you can see here already. We're already seeing criteria range 1, and then we have criteria 1, criteria range 2, criteria 2. So we are going to be summing our sum range here. In this case is the fuel consumed, right? The fuel consumed by each truck. So that's going to be our sum range here. So I'll go to the transport info and just select the quantity of fuel in liters. Do we get? Okay, so I'll simply come here, transport info, and then I'll look for, this is the fuel in liters column here, column NM, and then I'll select that. Now, criteria range 1 is by town, right? So I'll come here, remember we have to town here, I'll select that. Criteria 1 is town, which is Bafusa. Yeah. Notice something. Each time you click on the last argument, another one will appear. And they will keep appearing, and there will be a scroll box here where you can scroll right down. So there are many different formulas or many different criteria that you can use. So you're going to have criteria range 1, criteria 1, criteria range 2, criteria 2. So the criteria 1 will be looking against criteria range 1. Criteria 2 will be looking against criteria range 2, and so on and so forth. Okay? Is that clear enough? Now let me complete this example so that we can move on, so that you can see what happens. Now my criteria range 2 is the year, right? So I'll come here, you see there is a year here, this is a year on column UU. And then now my criteria 2 is here, is this year up here, C14, okay? Then I'll just click OK. So what it has done, it has done here is that it has summed up all the fuel consumed, petrol, that's for Bafusam, right, in 2021. And you have it here very neat. You see how beautiful it is? I told you that Excel is just so beautiful and just so sexy. You see how easy it is? And if you have so many different criteria, you can keep adding and adding and adding. The only thing you need to understand is that criteria range 1, right, and criteria 1. So the criteria, your first criteria will be looking against that range. We'll be looking for that information in that range. So if you are looking at, if your criteria 2 is year, then you should look for where there is a year column so that you can match the figures and then of course do your sum. Is this understood? Yes, ask your question.
Criteria range 2.
Yes.
Criteria 2, what is it?
Now,
criteria range 2 is year. What's the criteria?
The criteria is this year here. I came and picked this year here. It's 2020, 2022.
Okay.
You get?
That's where we get the B16.
This is where you're going to pick your criteria. You know, your criteria is the value that you are looking up against a particular range. So I know that my data has the year column, right? Which you have 2020, 2022. You understand? So I want to look at my criteria now is to pick out for 2021, sorry. 2021, 2020. So my criteria is 2021 in that case. So my criteria range will be the range where it's carrying the years, and then I'm looking up this 2021 against the year so that I can sum up. My first criteria was town. So criteria range 1 was the column where you have town. My second criteria now is year. So my criteria range 2 now is the column where you have the years. If the third criteria was months, then my criteria range 3 will be the columns where you have the months. And of course your sum range, as I explained, is where you are summing up something. So my sum range in this case is the fuel consumed in liters. That's what I want to sum up. Is it clear?
Very clear like water.
It's clear like water.
Une fonction qui est encore beaucoup plus puissante que la précédente. La différence fondamentale, c'est quoi? C'est que maintenant, au lieu d'avoir par exemple la consommation par ville, on peut avoir la consommation par ville, par année et même par X, Y, Z. Mais il faut souvent remarquer qu'il y a quand même une petite nuance. Quand vous accédez à la boîte de dialogue, vous observez que ça commence par la précision de la zone à additionner. Ça, c'est très fondamental, il a insisté là-dessus. La première information, c'est la zone contenant les valeurs à additionner, notamment les consommations respectives. Parce que Excel, systématiquement, demande quelle est la zone des conditions, quelle est la condition. Quelle est la zone des conditions, quelle est la condition. On se comprend un peu. Criteria range, criteria. Criteria range, criteria. I'm trying to explain how Excel presents those information, those parameters. Donc, la zone de calcul, la zone contenant les critères, le critère, la zone contenant les critères, le prochain critère. Mais c'est terrible. C'est d'une puissante. C'est une fonction vraiment très très puissante. On peut avoir les consommations par chauffeur, par ville,
par véhicule, so there are just so many ways.
Je vous assure, mais c'est d'une simplicité déconcertante. Puisque j'ai précisé les informations additionnelles, mais à tout moment, quand je suis à la dernière zone, il y a une zone qui affiche encore pour dire que c'est quoi la prochaine zone de critères, c'est quoi le critère, c'est quoi la prochaine zone de critères, c'est quoi le critère. Excel vous donne systématiquement les résultats escomptés. Est-ce que c'est pas formidable? Le formateur l'appelle carrément sexy. C'est just powerful. Je le
All right, so that he tried to just, you know, do the same thing with in French, which is okay. And you realize that it's speaking Bafusam here, and then of course it's speaking the year. Now, if you drag this formula down, you are going to have error. You understand? Somebody is supposed to tell me why. Because when you drag this formula down, this year will move. So the relative, you remember the relative reference? It will move. So you need to fix the year on this one. Use the dollar sign, right? Voila. So you guys are beginning to understand the necessity of, you know, absolute and relative reference. So by the time you fix it and then you drag it down, it will stay on this same year for all the other cells, right? So you have to fix one, drag the formula down, and then now you have it right. Or else somebody who does not know that will start going to each of these cells and doing the same thing repeatedly, and it will take you forever.
10 years.
It will take you 10 years. You understand? So let's try our hands on. It is Sumifs. So put equal to here. Go to your report. Put equal to Sumifs. And call up your Sumif dialog box. Remember, we are working. You have to go down on the report and come to the second section of our report. Are we here? Yeah. Good. Try your hands on. Do it. As I said, in Excel, you have to do it to be able to, you have to practice. The sum range is your quantity sold, right? Quantity, is it here, right? Quantity. Your criteria range 1, as I said, is towns. So criteria range 1, I'll come to towns here, to towns. Criteria 1 is towns, right? Criteria range 2 is year. So I'll come to year. Criteria 2 is year. And remember, I want to fix this one so that it doesn't change. And I take OK. And voila. Are you guys getting it? Are you guys getting me? Yeah. Sales now is the sales amount. So I'll go to the same formula. Is it right here? And then my sum range now will change to sales. Amount sold, right? Yeah, now criteria range 1 is the same thing, which is towns. Criteria 1, town. Criteria range 2 is year. Criteria 2, I'll put my year here and I'll fix it. And that'll be it. Are we having the same figures?
Yes.
Now for 2020, the same thing, right? Can we populate for 2020? The same thing. So we've understood this, right? Let's do for customers, please. Let's do for customers by customer. Sorry? Let's do for customer, populate for customer. Please quickly populate, quickly populate. Let's go, let's go, let's go. In this case, it's quantity. I go back here.
2020.
For customers, right? So my criteria range 1 will change. It will change now to customer names. Am I too fast? Yes. This right. Fill the fuel, quantity sold and sales based now on 2020. The only thing that will change from this one is, and if you know carefully, look up please. If you understand fixing carefully, you can just go and fix this once here and then change it here. You get the point? If I have to do this, I'll not redo all the formulas. I'll just fix these formulas here, carry and put in and then drag. Because the only thing that will change, remember, is this. Yeah. You get. Yes. That's the only thing that's going to change.
Dollar is paying very much.
That's where you now see efficiency in when you understand things. Because somebody will go one after the other just to populate the new. It will take him another 1 hour. But now, for me, if I'm working, it's 2 seconds. I'll just go here, take time, fix the formulas here, and then carry and put here. It looks easy because it's just 2-3 of them. But imagine that you're working on a very large, you will not finish. You take a week on the report. And people will start saying that, travail dû, travail n'est pas dû. It's like you don't know Excel. You don't know Excel, that's it. If you know Excel, there will be nothing that you waste time on when it comes to reporting. We spend a lot of time, I've seen it, we spend a lot of time in reporting. Somebody will take 1 week just to give you answer a small question for maybe consolidation on budget, or it's something that is very, very, very straightforward if you understand Excel. So try to fix the formulas if you understand what you're doing, or you can go and just create new formulas. You can come and do exercises on count if and average if and the rest, and product if as well. So, yeah.